Certainly you've already wondered why bad ideas manage to prevail, why intelligent people remain silent in the face of lies and absurdities, why you can't express what you think when you want to, or even why you lose arguments even though you know you're right. Hello everyone. Is everything fine? My name is Gabriel, and this is the Be Amazing channel. Bertrand Russell, considered by many to be the most influential philosopher of the 20th century, said, "The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people so full of doubts." I believe this quote sums up the issue well, so I won't dwell on it much further. However, I will explain the best way possible how to make yourself heard in an increasingly noisy world. I could dedicate a good portion of this video to voice projection techniques and the like, since in many cases, the loudest voice wins. But the truth is, a low and calm voice can be just as or even more effective than a loud and energetic one. Just think of the difference between two leaders, Dalai Lama and Anthony Robbins. Good posture, a lifted head, eye contact, and the like are essential for conveying your message with credibility. Therefore, it's not exactly what you say that's important, but rather the mindset behind what you say. This is how the principle of pure sincerity was established, which consists of 3 steps. 1. When you are sure of what you say, speak with conviction. Until good reasons arise, there is no reason to doubt yourself. Do not let rhetoric, the other person's skill in argumentation, undo your reasoning if it lacks foundation. If you are convinced of what you say, stand firm in your idea. This does not mean that every time you are right about something, but having reflected enough to reach such a conclusion, you should possess a coherent line of reasoning that needs to be deconstructed before reconsidering your position, rather than accepting any opposing argument as proof that you are wrong. Some issues, like personal preferences, shouldn't even be up for discussion. If you know you like a certain style of music, for example, you're right about that, and that's that. However, believe me, there are people so skilled in argumentation that they can even convince someone who's confident in their own conviction. Other things are self-evident, such as picking up a pen with your hand and stating, "If I drop this pen, it will fall." Everyone knows that this is true, but someone seeking to win a debate can even disagree with this type of argument. I've had the experience of debating with an entire audience that disagreed with me on this exact issue. In this case, I was just a spectator at the lecture who was called to the stage for disagreeing with the speaker, who, among other absurd things, was talking about feeding on sunlight. To avoid losing in front of his own audience, he tried to argue against the fact that the pen would fall, and the other spectators helped, as he was the authority in that situation. Due to social pressure, any slightly insecure person would have yielded. In this case, keep in mind Carl Sagan's idea: extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone wants to convince you of something so improbable, then they must present evidence equal to that claim. In the end, people rarely admit they're wrong, especially in front of so many people as in this situation, but you understand it's over when the person gets irritated, the arguments end, or they simply change the subject, as was the case. He hugged me in a forcibly friendly manner, saying that disagreement of ideas was beautiful. After all, he was a guru, and for him, everything is beautiful. Finally, you should speak with conviction, even when you're sure you don't know the subject. Which brings us to the next step, 2. When you don't know, say you don't know, without feeling ashamed or apologizing. You're not obligated to know everything, and even if you have a broad cultural background, some details may have escaped your radar. If you can internalize this way of thinking confidently, you'll know there's no reason to feel ashamed or apologize when you don't know exactly what the other person is talking about. Many people, when lacking arguments, Try to discredit the interlocutor by bringing up a specific topic that adds little or nothing to the debate, with the sole purpose of appearing to know more about the subject under discussion. It's easy to deal with this simply by saying you don't know what it's about. If the person explains, you can proceed from there, or simply ignore if it's irrelevant to the conversation. However, avoid falling into the trap of pretending to understand a lot about the subject, initiating a discussion, and stuttering at the first question asked. This often happens in controversial topics like politics and feminism, where many people simply repeat ready-made arguments they've heard without analyzing or delving into the subject. When questioned, they don't know how to respond. So feel free to choose not to understand politics or any other subject if you wish. And when asked, simply say you don't know, don't understand, or aren't interested, without apologizing or feeling ashamed. However, if by chance the unknown subject interests you, let's move on to step number 3. When in doubt, ask. If you want to learn more about what you don't know and feel there's room for it, ask genuinely interested. People love to talk about what they understand, so this is undoubtedly the simplest step. Once you've shown interest in the other person, they'll probably be more interested in engaging with you, and consequently, will listen to what you have to say. This is undoubtedly the best way to create productive dialogue or healthy debate, where both sides come out winning and learn from each other. The reason for leaving this step last is because we know that a large part of people lack this willingness. In an increasingly noisy world, it's crucial to know how to clearly express your idea when others try to win by shouting or suffocating your voice. Over time, you may be able to turn debates that start unfair into productive conversations, depending on the resistance of the interlocutors and your rhetoric. That's why mastering steps 1 and 2 is so important, even if it's simply to recognize them in dialogue and use them only when necessary. Finally, it's good to remember that it's not always worth getting into a discussion, but staying silent in the face of injustice is a terrible long-term choice for both the individual and society. Martin Luther King said something like this: "What concerns me is not the shout of the bad, but the silence of the good." So be wise in your choices considering what you've just learned here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it, a big hug, and be amazing.